I think that we have this really weird relationship to desire right now as, I would say, younger people, like the millennial Gen Z generation, where it feels like we have to want to do things. I don't know how to say that better than that, but that's what it is. It's like this obsession with desire, right? And obviously we've seen this because of the rise of manifestation content and culture. Manifestation culture is funny. We've seen a rise of that kind of conversation around manifestation and what it means to kind of get the things that you want. And so we're now in this culture where people are, I'm just using Mac, the same Mac stuff that I have been using. This is Scene, and this is Swiss chocolate. And the base that I put on was Bobbi Brown, like a Bobbi Brown eyeshadow stick in taupe. And anyways, just so you don't think I'm trying to hide things from you. So yeah, this obsession with desire and preference is really unfortunate, because I definitely like this one better, but I also don't know if it's different than, yeah, it's kind of like creamier than usual. Okay, because our obsession with preference is like, it's boring. It's boring to be obsessed with your preferences and like, oh, I'd prefer to be doing something else. And that's what it really is. Like when it comes down to desire, most of the times we're just thinking about like, well, what do I prefer? And most of our preferences are ruled by, yeah, I like the brown better. Most of our preferences are ruled by, this is the Brown Better Than Sex mascara. It's gonna come at the, anyway. I'm gonna do brown on the brown side. I'm gonna do black on this side and just see what happens, because I have to wash this off anyway. So most of our preferences come from a place of comfort, obviously, what we're comfortable with. And I think that it's like very clear at this point with everything that everyone says all the time, that your comfort zone is not like, you know, the place where you're gonna make your best decisions or grow from. But it's more than that. It's that like your preferences are not that interesting, and they're going to continue to morph and change, and that your preferences are created by you. So you can change your preferences. Meaning, if it's like, oh, I want to make a video, I want to write a song, I want to whatever, but right now I just want to watch my show, even though I have like extra free time and I've already watched a lot of my show. That sense of like prioritizing what you prefer in that moment, which is to just keep watching your show. It's like, well, where does that preference come from? And why are you following that preference? Look at this face I'm making. Why are you listening to that preference? Like, why are you doing that? And so anyways, I'm following that advice because I'm filming right now, even though I had one of those moments where it was like, I'm having a hard time finding something I actually want to watch online. This is actually prettier than I'm giving it credit for. But the brown, I think I like just a little bit better. Just because that's my preference. Exactly. So anyways, what was I saying? I don't know what I was saying, but basically, your preferences can be changed. So maybe you should stop living according to your preferences and you should start living according to something else. And one of the things that you can live according to that's not your preferences are your values. That's something that you can live according to. And values are great because values are foundational and they can kind of they're more generalized, and then they can be applied to certain experiences. They can be applied to situations. Should I do like a half brown, half? No. Then they can be mapped onto situations accordingly, instead of like being so, having such a sort of dictated way of working. What if I do like that? What happens? Okay. Interesting. That's nothing. Okay, so I'm just silently doing my makeup now. But what I was going to say was, I don't like this at all, but that's fine. I don't care. My preferences are not important. So when it comes to preference, it's just not that important. It's not that serious. And you have to decide what is that serious. You have to decide what you're willing to put above your preferences. Because at this point, like, your preferences are holding you back and you have no other guiding light. This attachment that millennials and Gen Z people have to, like, well, I have to want to, is like, it's just another thing that's gone too far, right? We start out with something that's like a good change from the past, a helpful change from the past. And then we take, it's like the pendulum swinging, right? So it's over here. It's like, okay, doing a bunch of things you hate doing all the time is where we were for a very long time. I'm just being vague and saying the word time. And then we start to move towards, no, like, you can pick things, you can pick your job, you can pick your, you can choose things based off of what you actually like to do. Great, that's great. And then we get to this point where we go, well, don't do anything you don't want to do. And I've definitely been at that point before in how I feel and what I might even said it publicly or privately or whatever. I'm just seeing if there's anything else. Ooh, chapstick. So we get to this point where it's gone too far. I have a zit right here, but I kind of love it. Like, if I kind of want to get a mole. I kind of want to start drawing a mole there. I love her. Okay, all that to say, we are in a period where if you keep living by your preferences, I promise you'll continue to be stuck. And just take your preferences with you. Like, okay, you would prefer to be sitting on the couch watching your show. Cool. We know that. That's great. Good to know. Good information. Take that information and store it somewhere and do the other thing that's in alignment with your values. If your values are to continuously follow your preferences, great. Then you know exactly what you value. But for me, the reason I'm creating something and talking to this camera instead of just sitting on the couch and doing nothing is because one of my values is creative expression and to be able to speak and create freely. One of my values is not just vegging out and being comfortable. I think it's important for me to have that. I think it's an important part of my restoration process, but it's not a value of mine. So yeah, this is an invitation to live life not according to your preferences and just try it for a week and see what happens and let me know. Bye.